They will not develop, purchase, buy, or any other thing. They're not going to acquire a nuclear weapon. If they do, all hell will rain down on them. And they're not going to do that. We have our deal done with Iran, and it should be successful. It goes to a second stage, which I think will be actually easier. I didn't want to attack them last week, but we had no choice. And we did it twice, actually. We were doing it a third time, and we were able to not have to do that. But we have a deal that's a fair deal. It's a good deal. We are not investing any money in Iran, by the way. You know, you can do too much also. But we've had a very effective relationship. Without us, without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a great country. It was a country where you had professors, doctors, lawyers. The great intellect was in Lebanon. Now it's terrible.
After months of bombs, threats, and military confrontation, Donald Trump now appears focused on finding a rapid diplomatic exit from the Iran crisis, raising questions about whether Washington is moving away from escalation. Trump has entered what many describe as a full exit mode, declaring that the United States has already secured its agreement with Iran and signaling his desire to close the chapter on the conflict. The U.S. president has admitted that preventing a third military strike on Iran was a key objective, indicating that Washington was eager to avoid a deeper and more dangerous regional war. Trump's push for a swift Iran exit has also come with public criticism of Israel, as he urged restraint from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu despite America's close alliance with Jerusalem. 3 major statements in just 24 hours have pointed to a single message from Trump, that Bibi has to be more responsible, as Washington seeks to prevent fresh tensions from undermining the Iran deal. Within just 24 hours, Donald Trump made 3 major statements on Iran, signaling a dramatic shift in Washington's approach after months of war, threats, and military escalation. Speaking at the G7 summit in France, the U.S. president issued fresh warnings to both Iran and Israel, urging restraint while defending the newly announced diplomatic framework. Trump declared that all hell would rain down on Iran if the country attempted to develop, buy, or obtain nuclear weapons in any form. The U.S. president insisted that the Iran agreement clearly stated that Tehran would never be allowed to possess a nuclear weapon under the terms of the deal. Trump repeated that preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons remained his single biggest priority and the main reason behind his diplomatic engagement. Iran, however, has consistently rejected allegations that it seeks nuclear weapons, maintaining that its nuclear program is solely aimed at peaceful civilian purposes.
We have our deal done with Iran, and it should be successful. It goes to a second stage, which I think will be actually easier. I didn't want to attack them last week, but we had no choice. And we did it twice, actually. We were doing it a third time, and we were able to not have to do that. But we have a deal that's a fair deal. It's a good deal. We are not investing any money in Iran, by the way. That rumor got out there yesterday. It was ridiculous. We have the right to go in someday and do, if I want to do something, or if somebody wants to do something, but we are not investing any money. We have no obligation to invest any money in Iran. It was 10 years ago from another country when it was hot, but we have the hottest country in the world right now. The one thing that's happening that's of note, frankly, the only thing that really matters to me, is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. And it says it loud and clear. They're not going to develop it, they're not going to buy it, they're not going to do anything with it. And if they do, they suffer unbelievable consequences. Not just a little bit like, I won't even tell you the consequences, but the consequences are the ultimate consequences. And with that being said, I hope we have a very good relationship. But the biggest thing is they will not have a nuclear weapon. And that's the reason I got in, and that's the reason I agreed to sign. They will not develop, purchase, buy, or any other thing. They're not going to acquire a nuclear weapon. If they do, all hell will rain down on them. And they're not going to do that.
Donald Trump said the US-Iran agreement could survive despite continuing Israeli military strikes in Lebanon, arguing that the confrontation with Hezbollah would not necessarily derail the larger diplomatic breakthrough with Tehran. The US president described the Israel-Hezbollah confrontation as a minor war, compared to the broader challenge of preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons and reaching a long-term agreement with Washington. Trump made clear that he viewed Iran as the central issue in Middle East diplomacy, while portraying the Lebanon front as a separate conflict that should not be allowed to overshadow the nuclear negotiations. According to Trump, Hezbollah remained a distinct security challenge outside the core US-Iran talks, even as the ongoing fighting between Israel and the Lebanese group continued to complicate regional stability.
Can this deal survive if Israel attacks Lebanon?
It can, and I consider that the minor war. Iran's the big one, but we have that a little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah. And, I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others. He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout, but he's done an amazing job of pulling it together. And he is very good with Hezbollah, does not like them. And I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it. And I didn't like Syria. I didn't like where 2 hours before we're signing the agreement that there was an attack in Lebanon, in Beirut. It was right in, it wasn't like in the southern side, and it was in Beirut. I did not like that. I let them know that. I didn't like it, not at all. But I think that Syria, he's pulled that country together amazingly quickly. He's very capable. And he's been very good for me. He's protected everything that I've asked for, he's done. And if Israel can't do the job without killing everyone else, he'll do the job. Syria will do the job.
Are you frustrated with Netanyahu, sir?
No. We had a great relationship. We're talking about some end details. I didn't like that he did an attack based on there was a very minor little thing with some drones that were released, and he ends up doing I saw that attack. I saw where that bomb went. Did you see what happened? That was a vicious, that was too much. You can do too much also. But we've had a very effective relationship. Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a great country. It was a country where you had professors, doctors, lawyers. The great intellect was in Lebanon. Now it's terrible. I would say of all countries, they've been treated the worst. And they can't defend themselves. And they have Hezbollah, which is a problem for them. So, no, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal, and that's the deal with Iran. So when you ask me about Bibi, an unbelievable relationship. But Israel would have been blown up a long time ago had I not gotten involved.
Donald Trump claimed that Iran now had a more rational leadership after the war, suggesting that the new Iranian leadership was more willing to engage with Washington and pursue diplomacy. The US president also argued that Iran's previous leaders, whom he described as totally irrational, were no longer in power following the conflict and the broader changes within Tehran's leadership structure. After months of conflict and diplomacy, details of a proposed US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding offering the clearest picture yet of the compromises both sides may be willing to make. According to the Financial Times, Iran is expected to formally reaffirm that it does not seek to develop nuclear weapons as part of the proposed agreement. The memorandum would pave the way for a new round of negotiations focused specifically on the future of Iran's nuclear program. At the center of the talks is Iran's uranium stockpile, which reportedly exceeds 9,000 kilograms and remains a major point of contention. Most of that stockpile consists of roughly 8,600 kilograms of lower-enriched uranium used for civilian nuclear purposes. However, reports indicate that Iran also possesses around 440 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity, much closer to weapons-grade levels. Washington and Tehran are expected to negotiate a mechanism to either dispose of, dilute, or otherwise neutralize portions of the uranium stockpile. Under the reported framework, enriched uranium would be diluted inside Iran under the supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Particular attention is focused on approximately 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium that is considered close to weapons-grade purity. The proposed framework envisions a closely monitored process to verify reductions in Iran's enriched uranium inventory. Notably, the reported arrangement does not appear to require the immediate removal of uranium from Iranian territory. Instead, international inspectors would reportedly oversee the dilution process and verify compliance from within Iran. The agreement is also expected to include a 60-day ceasefire period designed to provide space for continued nuclear negotiations. Speaking on June 15, President Donald Trump said Iran had agreed that it would never possess a nuclear weapon, describing the commitment as a key element of the emerging deal. The US and Iran are expected to sign a peace agreement on June 19 in Switzerland, according to reports that cite officials and media on both sides. The specific details of the deal have not yet been published in full, with only selective leaks and brief hints emerging from Washington and Tehran. A 60-day round of talks on Iran's nuclear program is expected to begin after signing, alongside US compensation measures outlined in the framework. With so much still undisclosed, speculation is rife over what else the US-Iran peace agreement might include beyond nukes, Hormuz access, and financial relief. US may halt oil sanctions under proposed agreement. Deal could include a $300 billion reconstruction package. $24 billion in frozen funds may be released. Iran's deputy FM says talks will start only after frozen assets are unlocked. US officials reject claim that asset release is a precondition for talks. Reports suggest US agreed to drop Iran's missile program from negotiations. Iran's support for Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas said to be off the agenda. If true, deal would narrow talks to nuclear and sanctions issues. Tehran also wants UN Security Council restrictions lifted or cancelled. Reopening Hormuz is expected to be a key pillar of the US-Iran understanding. Trump says Strait of Hormuz will reopen freely, without any transit tolls. Iranian media says Gulf shipping will be regulated with Oman, not fully unrestricted. Next phase of negotiations to focus heavily on Iran's nuclear program. Reports say Trump accepted uranium destruction or dilution inside Iran. Any uranium reduction would reportedly take place under UN supervision. Trump signals shift from zero enrichment demand to tightly capped enrichment. Trump says Iran will be allowed only low-level uranium enrichment under deal. US seeks strict limits to ensure Iran's program remains non-military. Trump vows Iran will never exceed agreed enrichment thresholds. White House says all 12 tons of enriched uranium must be removed or diluted. Trump proposes joint US-Iran effort to excavate and process uranium stockpile. Washington seeks near-immediate access to Iranian nuclear facilities. US official claims final deal aims to dismantle Iran's nuclear program. Tehran has not publicly endorsed Trump's proposed inspection framework. Mediator Pakistan says ceasefire deal includes Lebanon. Tehran claims Lebanon clause was a key condition for restraining retaliation. Iran demanded Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon. Israel rejected any obligation under the Lebanon provisions of the deal. Netanyahu told Trump Israel is not bound by Iran-US-Lebanon understandings. Israeli PM insists IDF forces will remain in current positions in Lebanon. Lebanon front could become first major test of any US-Iran accord.